something like that. People, if you can just, say if it is visible or not on chat box.
It is visible, just the 2-3 words in the leftmost corner was not visible. I think you are good to go.
So I was on the how should we start with such kind of questions, right? We need to understand what the company is all about. As I mentioned, it is a one-liner question. You don't have given any information about the company. You need to know exactly everything, right? You'll start about asking questions regarding the company. As I mentioned, get primitive understanding of company, what exactly the company is about, what kind of products and services are they offering, and what geography they are catering to. Is it specifically in India, or are they operating outside, or some kind of such questions regarding the company. Okay, so you need to have a good understanding of the company. After asking the questions regarding the company, you will come to the question where you can ask, if we talk about profitability, has it been decreasing? Like if it is decreasing, by what percentage it is decreasing? If there are any numbers, or if there is anything which is available to us, then the interviewer will provide you with the data. Keep it interactive, keep asking questions with the interviewer, but please note that you don't have to ask irrelevant questions. If something is mentioned in the question statement, you don't have to reiterate it again and again. Just reiterate it once in the beginning. There's just to be on the same page, I am reiterating the question statement, and then move to the clarifying questions, right? So I was on the part that you need to understand like what profitability, if it is decreasing, by what percentage it is decreasing. Now, what is the trend history? How long has it been decreasing from? What is the time period? All these kind of questions you can note down and you can ask when you are in that interview setting. Right after asking about the company specific questions, you'll move to the industry, like if it is an industry specific issue or if it is a company specific issue, if it is the issue which is happening with the entire industry or not. Okay, now when the interviewer says that it is a company specific issue, then you can just move forward easily and you have a very good framework with you which you can solve through. I'll come to that framework. Okay, if it is an industry wide issue, then you can ask some questions like, okay, just listen to the questions very carefully. If the market has been disrupted, or if there is a change in consumer preferences because of which this industry is not very booming right now, and there is some other industry which is coming to the market and people are preferring those products as comparative to the products that the company is selling. Okay, some change in the regulatory policies, the government has come up with some kind of policy which does not support the company's products that we are catering to, right? Okay, so such kind of industry specific questions, then you can ask if that is an industry wide issue. Let's most of the times I think it will be a company specific issue, so let's focus on that. After you have asked some kind of questions regarding the company, regarding the what we say like industries, etc., you'll move to the framework. Okay, now we have a very good framework for profitability. As you can see over here, we have revenue and cost, right? I hope that all of you will be solving through this framework. Is that correct? Can I get a yes or no on chat box if you have any other framework which you solve while you are having these kind of profitability cases? Yes or no on chat box. I would love to see the participation because I wanted this session to be way more interactive instead of just one way discussion. Perfect. Okay, so when we say revenue, what comes to your mind? Right? Does anybody want to say something? Sorry, I hear her voice.
Yes, may I speak?
Yes, go ahead.
So basically, revenue is the amount that one earns after selling the product.
Hanji, right?
Yes.
Right, perfect. So when we talk about revenue, we have two things, right? Price into quantity, as you also mentioned, the price that we at which we sell the product, right? So when there is a problem in profitability, we can ask the interviewer, is there problem in revenue side, cost side? Let's talk about revenue side first, and then we'll go to the cost side. Okay, I hope the PPT is clear to all of you. When we talk about revenue side, price and quantity comes into picture. Now we can ask if there is any problem in price, like if the price has decreased or increased. The interviewer might say that let's talk about quantity sold, let's ignore the price. If there's a problem in price, it's very evident for you. You can just say that price has decreased or increased. You can look into that specifically. Okay, now when we're talking about units sold, that is quantity, we have again this framework, a very good framework, 3 AAAs. If you have heard about this, awareness, accessibility, affordability, very good framework which covers all of it and makes it very easier for you to identify where exactly the problem is lying. Okay? So You can ask if there is any problem in need, जिसका मतलब है if there is any problem in the demand of the product. If the products are not being demanded, the interviewer will say let's move to some other, some other thing. You might then ask problem in awareness. People are not aware about the product. then comes the accessibility. If the product is not accessible to people, okay, why it is not accessible? Maybe because of some marketing issues, or what kind of distribution channels it has, retail or retailers ke through hota hai, wholesalers ke through hota hai, what exactly the channel is, why it is not accessible to people. If that is also not the issue, you'll move forward to affordability. It is very high price as compared to the competitors' products. Okay, if that is also not the problem, you will move to the last thing, which is customer experience. So I hope you are seeing how the structured process will look like, and it will help you to identify the final problem. Okay. Now, when we talk about customer experience, again, there are 2 to 3 things, like what exactly the problem is: pre-transaction, during transaction, post-transaction. Pre-transaction, I'll give you one example. Okay, so pre-transaction could be, let's suppose I want to buy a laptop or something. Okay, I want to buy an Apple ka iPhone. Okay, and I want to know about its price and if it is available in the market, in the store that is there. I want a customer care ka ek proper center where I can call and inquire about the product and prices. If that is not properly structured, if those people are not picking up my call, this is something which has happened with me recently. So I'm giving you very general personal example, that if there is not a proper customer care ka center where I can just call and inquire about the things, then that is something which is not good for the business. So pre-transaction ka problem ho sakta hai. During transaction mein, maybe I'm visiting a store, I want to buy shoes. Those staff and those people are not catering to my needs properly. They're not listening to me. They're not giving me the products that I need. That could be a customer experience ka problem. Then comes post-transaction, which could be I have bought a product. Now there is some problem with the product. I want to repair it. I want to replace it. Again, nothing is available for the as part of the company's ka service ke through koi aisa kuch available nahi hai, right? So that could be the problem. So this is how you just go to very, very deep, starting from profit, एक बड़ा सा structure. You are going to so deep into the business of some company, right? One by one, step by step. I hope you are understanding. Just give me a quick yes or no on chat box. Then we will come to the cost side of it. And any doubts until now, if you have, then we can also cater to those doubts. ठीक है, let's come to the cost. Now cost के deal करने के काफी तरीके होते हैं, ठीक है? जैसे you might be coming across in very books that cost को हम fixed और variable में divide कर दें, then we can further see where exactly the problem lies. But I personally prefer this value chain वाला एक proper structure where we think about each and every step in the value chain, and this makes it easier for us to understand where the problem is. Again, we need to identify the problem, and for that we need to go step by step, छोटा सा हर चीज we need to consider to see कहाँ पे problem आ रहा है, ठीक है? Now when we talk about cost, this is the entire value chain which is in front of you: R&D, raw material, processing, storage and transportation, sales and marketing, where exactly the problem is. One by one, you'll ask everything from the interview. It is an interactive discussion with the interview. You're not just solving the case in the copy and you're just communicating that to the interviewer. It's a very interactive session. Okay, you're talking, so, sir or ma'am, is it a problem with R&D? Sir or ma'am, is it a problem of raw materials? Maybe raw materials are priced now. The prices of raw materials have increased. That's why the profitability has decreased. Or you can talk about processing, storage and transportation, and that person will tell you that let's talk about processing. Okay, let's just talk about processing, and then you'll delve deeper into processing. For that, I'll just go to the next slide. I hope the slides make sense. There's some points which are mentioned like in the left and in the bottom of the slide. You can read all of those points if you want to take a screenshot or whatever, right? So that you can read all of them later on. Now in the end of the slide, at the end of the slide, I've mentioned some alternate approaches, but I personally prefer the approach that I have laid it down over here. Okay. All right. So let's move to the next slide. When we talk about cost specifically in the profitability वाला structure, जैसे मैंने पहले value chain बताया, उसमें आपको under subsets क्या रहेंगे वो आपको पता होना चाहिए, right? When if the interviewer says let's look into the raw material, now you think raw material में क्या problem हो सकता है? Now you need to know what exactly the problem is, right? So let's suppose R&D is there, okay? I am covering cost specifically because revenue is somewhere I think easier. There's just two things, price and quantity. But when we talk about cost, it's the entire value chain that we need to consider, right? When we talk about R&D, R&D में, okay, let's first, let's make it interactive. I'll just move to the previous slide. Let's listen from you guys. कि हर एक सेट में क्या क्या प्रॉब्लम्स हो सकते हैं, ठीक है? When I talk about raw materials, what do you think? Let's the interviewer says that there is some problem with raw material, okay? That's why the profitability has been declining. So what do you think? What exactly could be the problem with raw materials? Can you just give me write on the chat box? Low supply, all right. Poor material, okay. High cost, right? Perfect. Cost of material. High wastage, that's very good. Availability, okay. So as you have said, there are like a lot of issues that you can consider. Exactly, perfect. So you have this thing in mind ki when we talk about raw materials, all these problems are there which we can communicate further to the interviewer that these might be the problems. Like, see, if here are mentioned cost of raw material, contract and bulk deals, quantity use. So if the cost of raw materials has increased, again it is a problem. If the quantity has been, if we're not able to access the enough raw materials, supply, जैसे किसी ने लिखा था low supply, that is very good thing. Contract and bulk deals, I think that is something which, if we are not buying the raw materials in bulk, okay, that might increase our cost. If we're buying it in a very, as is a contract and from somebody, a lot of raw materials we're buying it at a particular time, that might lower the cost for all of us, right? So that is something which we need to consider. Now, just read through the slide once, okay, if you want to, and then we can discuss it. Like, I think it is very much clear. Then when we talk about processing, we talk about machinery, factory rent, labor hours, technology. Where exactly is the problem? We talk about storage. What comes to your mind? Instantly something regarding warehousing comes to my mind. Okay, I have not even read what is written after that, but instantly what comes to your mind? Warehousing mein problem ho sakta hai, storage mein, warehousing, transportation, all of that stuff might have some kind of problem, right? ठीक है, marketing में हमने बात करी, तो there might be a problem that our competitors have a good marketing strategy. We are having some kind of strategy which is not at par with the industry standards. Okay, we are not utilizing our marketing strategies, we're not reaching out to the people, we are not people are not aware about the product. Okay, so these are the things which comes under these kind of subsets, right? Any doubt until now? Should we just move forward with the I think we have one activity, right? Let's do this activity. Okay. Okay, so here's the question. Your client is a food manufacturing company and has been facing a decline in profits. Let's say you have identified, now this is not a proper case we are solving, we will be solving the case after this. This is just kind of activity just to understand if you have understood what I've been telling until now, okay? The question will be until profits. अगर आपके interview में question पूछा जाएगा, the question will be your client is a manufacturing company and has been facing a decline in profits. Now you will talk to the interviewer जो हमने पूरा भी discussion करा, and you have come to this point that there is some problem in storage. ये आपको पता चल गया interviewer से discuss करके. Now you need to find where exactly the problem is in storage. Now just write in the chat box what do you think. अगर storage में problem है तो क्या क्या problem हो सकता है? You'll ask the interviewer, sir, if the problem lies here, if the problem lies, take 1 minute and think about it and write in the chat box. Overproduction, capacity, storage overproduction. Mohit, can you just justify that? You can unmute yourself if you want to.
Sure. By overproduction, I mean, suppose if my warehouse has a capacity of 1,000 units to store, but actually I'm producing 1,200 units and there is no demand in the market. So actually my 200, where should I keep it? That either will be wasted or would be utilized.
Yeah. So your that thing is going to the wastage part, I guess. That's a very good point, wastage. Okay, I'll cover it. Okay, then we come to warehousing rent. Okay, damage of production, warehousing cost, a lot of things. I'm very impressed. Right. Problem in transporting goods. Okay, we are specifically talking about storage right now. Like you can consider transportation, but we have come to the point where we're talking about storage. Less shelf life. Again, it comes to the wastage part that Mohit was just talking about, that if there is a less shelf life of the product, then there might be a case that we are just storing it, we are not able to sell it properly, and what is happening? Wastage is happening, and that might lead to decline in profits. Okay. Now, okay, coming to this thing, okay, when we talk about storage, now where the problem could be? The problem could be, one of the very good things that I wanted to hear was the food wastage. The problem could be food wastage, because let's suppose that we are producing some amount of food, and there is not enough demand in the market, and because of which the food is getting wasted in the warehouse. Second could be warehousing rent. Okay, maybe the warehousing rent has increased in some time, because of which again our costs have fixed costs have increased, and because of which the client has been facing a decline in profits. It could also come to the point where electricity, or other costs that involve when we store the product. Food obviously requires refrigerator and other things, electricity costs, etc. Those things also come to our mind when we talk about storage. Yeah, space problem could also be one of them, which I could see in the chat box. Pest attack, amazing, very good. Rent we have already covered. So these, some of the things like rent, electricity, or food wastage, all of these things come into our mind when we talk about storage. As I've mentioned over here as well, rent, labor, inventory. Okay, just see over here. Can you all spot the storage and transportation के जो second point में लिखा है rent, labor, inventory? We can further divide it according to these three sub parts. इन्वेंटरी का मतलब है फूड वेस्टेज, मतलब इन्वेंटरी जो स्टॉक अप हो जा रही है, पाइल अप हो जा रही है और वेस्ट होती जा रही है. दैट इज व्हाट इन्वेंटरी मींस ओवर हियर. लेबर का मतलब ये है कि द लेबर दैट इज रिक्वायर्ड टू store the things and transport and whatever is required to do all of that process, the labor costs have increased. Rent we have already covered all of that. Okay, so these could be the things that you can come to when you have identified one subset. Now that makes case very easy for you. Just give me 1 minute. Now we will be having one more case so that we can show all of you how we will be solving the profitability case. Aditya, are you here?
I'm audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay,
so you're ready with the pen and paper?
What? I'm not able to hear clearly.
Are you ready with the pen and paper?
Yes, so let's start.
Okay, so everybody, I'll be saying the question. He will be solving the question. It will be the proper interview setting. I am the interviewer. He's the interviewee, and we will be solving the case together. And at the end of the case, I'll be giving the feedback. Right?
Sure.
Just give me 1 moment, okay, Aditya? Just give me 1 moment.
Sure.
Okay, so I hope you can read the case, Aditya, and everybody, you can also start solving the case side by side Aditya is doing. So the case says your client is a beer manufacturing company that operates in India. The cost structure for the company is poor compared to the international benchmarks, and you have been asked by the client to find out why is that so.
Okay, so I just wanted to know who our client is and what kind of products does he manufacture apart from beer. Like, is he have a segment of products like rum or something like that?
So the client manufactures beer only. It is the sole product that they are manufacturing. Apart from that, yeah, that's all. And distribution and everything is carried out by third party. Our client is only into the manufacturing business.
Okay, so what kind our client only operates in India, or is there any other geography in which our client operates?
The client is operating only in India, across all parts of India.
And is this only a cost side problem, or we are also facing some kind of problem in revenue as well?
Let's ignore the revenue side as of now, and let's look into the cost side only.
And is this an industry-wide problem, or is it a company issue? Like only our company is facing this?
It's not an industry-wide issue. It's specific to our company.
Okay. So since our client only manufactures beer, so there is no point of any range. So just to reiterate the entire statement, our client is a beer manufacturer who operates in India, and he is facing problem with costs, and he is not able to match that through international benchmarks.
Perfect.
Okay. So can you just tell me a little bit about international benchmarks? What are those international benchmarks in which our client are not able to match? Do we have any kind of information about that?
We do not have any information regarding that.
Okay, so we are just facing a problem on our cost side, and there's nothing we can do about the revenue is perfect, and this is a company specific problem. So are you on the same page?
Yes.
Yeah. So just give me 30 seconds. I just need to
Right. You
structure
can
my
take that.
thoughts. Okay. So basically, since we are ignoring the revenue, so I have divided the entire problem statement just into the cost segment. And amongst the cost segment, I've taken branches of like the costs we are going to incur in R&D, in raw material, in processing, in storage and transportation, in safety and marketing, in customer servicing. And I think that these are the most of the costs I think so that majorly apply. And I want to first investigate about the R&D cost. So so is our R&D cost being more or not in relation to international benchmarks?
No, there is no problem with R&D costs.
And is there any problem with the raw material costs?
No, no problem with raw material as well.
So then there might be a cost with the processing. Is there a problem with the processing costs?
Okay, so I would like you to delve deeper into the processing costs for us.
Okay, so this I would like to know more about the processing cost in that case. So when analyzing processing costs, so is there an increase in the packaging cost of the product?
No, no, there is no
Or
increase.
is there any increase in the maintenance of machinery or machinery cost of the product?
No, there is no problem with that as well.
Is there
So,
any problem with the utilization? Yeah.
right. So we are actually facing the problem of underutilization of capacity.
Okay. So you mean to say that let's just deep dive them then into a capacity utilization problem. So I just wanted to know more about how many since we are manufacturing beer. So what kind of how many plants do we own, and how many machines do we have, and are those machines being utilized at 100% capacity? About that.
Okay, so I have some information for you regarding that. The client owns 3 plants with 3 machines, and the
Okay.
capacity of each plant is 30,000 bottles, and we are able to utilize 100% of that capacity.
So you mean to say that we are able to produce 30,000 bottles?
Right.
Okay. Just need to just a second.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, any other information do we have so that I can comprehend this? I can just
Okay.
relate this third.
I
Yeah.
have I have some information regarding the competitor. So our competitors are able to produce 50,000 to 80,000 per machine, and as I have mentioned per plant, sorry, and as I have mentioned that we are just able to manufacture around 30,000 bottles. So that is the information that I have for you.
Okay, so we are able to produce 30,000 bottles per plant, while our competitors can produce 50 to 80,000 bottles per plant.
That's right.
So why are they able to produce so much? Like, is there anything, any they have some kind of good labor or machine or something like that.
Okay, so our competitors are having advanced machines, and because of which
Okay.
they are able to produce more number of bottles per plant.
Okay. So why our client can't, get those machines? Are they expensive or like they require some kind of labor, specific labor for operating those machines?
Okay, so the machines that the advanced machines that they are using, they cost around 1.5 times the machines that we are using, and also there is no special labor or training required, as you were asking.
So since these machines cost 1.5x, is our client having like affordability problems? He can't be able to invest that much, or there is some other kind of issue? Like, is there some kind of logistic problem?
Affordability issue is not there. Logistic issue, I think you can consider. So yeah, you can go into that.
So when the deep, so let's take a deep dive in the logistic problem. So amongst the logistic problem, I just need to know like why our client is not able to get those machines. Like, is the size of machine a bit bigger than the normally used machines, or does those machines require a different kind of raw material, or is it difficult to transport those new machines to our plant?
Right. Okay. So basically, the machines require larger space area as compared to the machines that we have as of now. So it requires large area
Okay.
to set up those machines.
Okay. Okay, so our client is facing some sides of some like he's not able to fit those bigger machines in the plant. In our plant, the capacity of a plant is like size of the plant is not that much to accommodate all the machines.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, so so I don't think so. Then we are able to get those advanced machines. So what we can do is to increase our capacity. We can, since we are facing a capacity utilization problem. So how many shifts do our labor operate in? Like
So
what kind of shifts are?
they operate for 2 shifts of 8 hours each.
And do our competitors also have the same?
No, they are operating for more actually.
Okay, so I'm thinking of a problem like
Yes, you can take some time to find out, final recommendations and come to me with the
yeah.
final recommendations.
Okay, so taking a look at the problem and summarizing what I can see is that we can do two things. One thing in the short term is just to increase the capacity of our production and to, as the capacity will increases, so our cost will decrease. So we can just, in the short term, we can increase our shifts of labor from 2 shifts to 3 shifts. That would help in increasing the bottle capacity per machine. And in the long term, what we can do is we can buy more plants, like those plants that can accommodate all the bigger machines, that advanced machines we are talking about, as compared to the existing plants which would not be able to accommodate those advanced machines.
Okay, okay, makes sense. I think that was the case. Thank you for your time, Aditya. It was
Yeah,
nice
so
interacting with you.
thank you so much.
Okay. Sorry. All right. That was the case. So I hope, okay, there is this one question. First of all, I would like to address that question. It says, should we also ask about the target market based on income during the preliminary question? That a very good clarifying question that you can ask when you're asking about the company, right? What exactly the company does. And then through that, you can understand about the target market, right? When we talk about beer and beer manufacturing company or other kind of companies, you understand the target market, or you can just directly ask that person that, sir, what is the target market for this kind of product? You can ask this question, obviously. Okay. Now coming back to the case, I hope you all have all have been present and understood how exactly the case is being done. So it is an interactive case, opposite to what guesstimates are. In guesstimates, we take some more time to understand and lay down our entire approach, and then we come to the interview and says that this is what we have done. But in such kind of profitability and other kind of cases, we have to be present with the interviewer at every step, and we have to ask more and more questions so that we come down to our final problem by eliminating all the other possible problems. That's what we did. That's what Aditya did. Okay, just give me 1 second. I'll come to the solution. Why I'm not able to uh, not moving? Is there any problem? Let me just present again. is the approach that he followed, and which we all should follow. Okay, so I'll just come to the feedback, and we will be starting from very beginning, what mistakes he did, some of the 2 to 3 mistakes that he did, and we should obviously avoid those mistakes, and also be talking about some of the good points that he took into consideration. All right, so starting off with the case, he asked me about some preliminary question. When I repeated the question, your client is this, he asked me again that what exactly the client is manufacturing. So that was pretty much very clear in the question statement, that our client is manufacturing beer, right? So that is something, that's some kind of question that I was saying in the beginning, that you should avoid reiterating the same questions again and again, which is mentioned in the problem statement. Then he asked me about the geography. Again, it is very much clear in the question that it is operating in India. I asked you that you should ask these questions only and when it is not being very much clear, it is not being present in the problem statement that it is operating in India, it is operating in any other country. Okay, so these 2 to 3 mistakes he did, but that was okay. What instead of this, what you can do when you are starting with the problem statement, you can just say that, sir, to be on the same page, I am just reiterating the problem statement that our client is a beer manufacturing company and it is operating in India, and there is some problem with the cost structure and we need to find out why. Now, I am moving on to I will take some time to think about the clarifying questions, and then I'll come back to you with the clarifying questions. Take time. That's what I've been telling to everybody, that take time if you want to, but just don't come up with anything and everything, whatever comes to your mind. Okay, take some time and think about the clarifying questions first, because clarifying questions are very important. They eliminate a major segment of the things that you are thinking about. Okay, so then he asked me about some of the very good questions, that it is an industry specific issue or a company specific issue, which again eliminated, pura industry ka part eliminate ho gaya, sirf company pe aaya. Then he asked me again, I'm just reiterating what exactly, what were the good points that he exactly mentioned. Then he said that if we are talking about, we just have to talk about cost structure or revenue structure. Then I said that cost structure, which was again a good part that he did. When we talk about the cost structure, he mentioned all of the points. Okay, now one of the mistakes that he did, which you should avoid, that when I said that processing mein problem hai, he asked me R&D mein problem hai, I said no. He asked me raw material mein problem hai, I said no. Then he came to processing, I said yes, it is a problem. Then he forgot to ask, ma'am or sir, if there is any other problem like in storage or transportation, distribution, marketing. He missed out all of that big portion just because he came to know that processing the problem hai. So it is always better to ask, is there any other problem with any other of the other cost segment? Most of the times the interview will say no, but that just gives how mentally present you are in the situation, how you are deeply involved into the case study. Okay, after that we come to the point that we know that processing is the problem. He asked me about if there is a problem in packaging and all of that, but I would suggest that when we talk about processing, just divide it into 2 parts. It's very easy for you, right? You can just start with the machinery and labor, right? If there's any problem with the machinery part of the processing, machineries are being underutilized or machineries are not very much efficient, if there's any problem with the machinery, okay? Because the problem was revolving around machinery, I could have just said that yes, there is this problem and you need to find out. Or we can say labor mein problem hai, labors are expensive, we are not getting enough labor, whatever the problem is. Okay, now one of the again things that he forgot to ask, when we come to the point that there is some problem with the underutilization of machinery, he did ask me that competitors, what are the competitors doing for that, right? It was there something which I told him from my own self, right? I told him that I have this information for you, but try to ask about the competitors. If there is some problem, you need to ask, if there is this problem with us, what are our competitors doing? Okay, so that is something you can do. And then I gave him the information that competitors are producing more as compared to what we are producing. And then the case was very smooth. That was the very good flow of the case. He asked me the relevant questions regarding if they are producing high advanced machineries, if they are having such kind of machineries, why can't we have? Now, instantly what comes to your mind, why can't we have? Either the price is very costly, either we do not have the required resources, maybe the area or maybe the labor to train who can work on those kind of machineries. Then I said that there's a problem with the area is big. The kind of final recommendations he gave was very good regarding that. If we talk about short-term period, obviously we cannot have that machinery in short term. So what we can do, we can utilize labor for that, and we can have more labor so that they can produce more. Okay, and in long term, what we can do, we can install that machinery. So that was the case. Any doubts we can consider in the chat box right now, post which we will be starting off with the growth strategy. Mohit is asking, does it make sense asking for what is the benchmark of international standards? You can definitely ask that, because it is very clearly mentioned, right? There is some problem as compared to international benchmarks. So that comes very intuitive, that what are the international benchmarks you're talking about. In this case, we did not have any information about that. The interviewer might give you the information or might say that we do not have any information, move forward. So you can ask that. Okay, Mohit. Should we consider the pricing as well? Pricing, like in what sense are you saying? Can you just unmute yourself and tell me, Chavi? In the cost, you are saying pricing, or just generally overview you are saying, like when we're talking about revenue, then we are considering price. The cost part, like we take, talk about price when there's some problem with revenue, right? Or specifically which cost you are saying, like raw materials ke price बढ़ गए हैं, then we can talk about price. Like what price? I just want to know that. Okay, any other question anybody else has? If labor cost was high, then we would not be able to increase the shifts too. Right, yeah. But the labor was not the problem over here. Right? Didn't got the case. Okay, what part of this you didn't get, Rahul? How to solve? Like, were you not present when Mohit, sorry, who was the person? Aditya was solving? Present. Okay, so I'll just start off with the very beginning. Okay, I will share the Aditya, can you share that script on the chat box? Like not chat box, in the WhatsApp group, I think.
Yeah, sure, I will.
Okay, so I'll just explain it to you. Okay, now the case says, listen to me very carefully. Okay, Rahul, the case says that there is some problem with the cost structure of the beer manufacturing company. Okay, we will be eliminating the revenue side of it because cost is the problem. Okay, that's why that's very clearly mentioned in the case. When we talk about cost, I was previously telling you that there is a proper value chain, right, that we follow to solve the case. Now the interviewer will ask the interviewer, sir or ma'am, on which part of the value chain does the problem lie. The value chain goes like this, as it is mentioned on the screen. I hope you can see that: R&D, raw material, processing, storage, distribution, marketing, end to end, right? Starting from the very beginning when we are collecting the raw materials, when we are designing the product, and going to the very end when we are marketing the product to the final consumer. Okay, Rahul, have you understood until now? Rahul, just yes or no? Okay, so when we talk about the entire value chain, now the interview will be taking each and every segment of this cost one by one and ask the interviewer, sir, is there any problem with R&D? Sir, is there any problem with raw material? That person will just say yes or no, and by doing that, you will come to the entire, like exactly where the problem is lying. Now, Aditya did the same. He came to the point where processing is the problem, right? He asked me, ma'am, is the problem with processing? I said, yes, processing is the problem. Now, when we talk about processing, I hope you remember we discussed in the very beginning also, right? Sub segments क्या रहते हैं हर एक part में, R&D में, raw material में, processing में. Now, when we talk about processing, we can say that if there is a problem with processing, what exactly is the problem? Machinery में problem आ रहा है, labor में problem आ रहा है. Maybe we have machineries which are not as per the standards what are competitors are having. That might be the problem. Machinery ko hum underutilize kar rahe hain, that might be the problem. Or the problem might be with the labor, right? The labor are costly. Cost of the labor is getting high, right? And our competitors are able to get them, access the labor at a lower cost as compared to us. So when we talk about processing, we take into account machinery or labor. That's something which is very intuitive. Okay. Now he asked me about the machinery. I said, yes, there is this problem with the machinery. Then I gave them this piece of information that our competitors are producing more with that machinery as compared to what we are producing. Now he asked me why, right? That's the intuitive discussion that we are having. He asked me why, then I said, because they're having advanced machines. Now, why can't we have those advanced machines? That would be the next question as per, like, obviously, right? Why can't we have the machines that our competitor are having? So that might be the problem, that the prices are very high for getting that machine, or we do not have enough resources. Maybe we don't have enough labor so that we can train them accordingly. The machine requires training and all, or we don't have enough resources. Maybe the prices are high, or we don't have enough space to install that machinery. These 3 to 4 questions that come to your mind, you ask the interviewer. The interviewer will say that, as I said, that space nahi hai hamare paas. We do not have enough space to install that particular machinery, to set up that machinery. Our space is less. Now, that is the problem. हमारा problem हमें specific पता चल गया कि हमारे पास problem कहाँ पे आ रहा है. After that, you need to give recommendations. Aditya did the same. He gave me 2 recommendations. First of all, कि short term में हम machinery install नहीं कर सकते because that machinery requires space. Long term में we can do that. Short term में हम क्या कर सकते हैं? We can instead utilize our labor. What we can do? We can produce more, because that is the problem, right? Our competitors are producing more. They're having good machinery, they're producing more. So instead, we can utilize the labor and we can increase the shifts. We are having 2 shifts as of now. We can increase the shifts, 3 shifts. हम ज़्यादा काम करेंगे और हम ज़्यादा produce करेंगे, because हमारे पास machinery नहीं है, हमारे पास labor है. Machinery and labor, you might have heard, this like read this in economics as well. There are substitutes, machinery, labor. India is labor intensive country, all of that stuff, right? So machinery नहीं है, हम labor का use कर सकते हैं, और long term में हम machinery जो हमारे competitors के पास है वो install कर सकते हैं. Rahul, understood? Yes or no? Okay. Okay. Anybody else has any doubt? सबको समझ आ गया? कोई specific doubt है? You can unmute also yourself if you want to, or you can write in the chat box. Then we will move forward to the growth. I think growth cases are somewhere not very famous, like not very prevalent. I think profitability, market entry, guesstimate, these are some of the cases which are very prevalent. We will cover the growth fatafat se, so that we can come to the doubt session, which is, I guess, important for today's session specifically. Yes, any doubt, anybody? Okay, let's move forward then. Okay. Now we have growth. Growth में क्या होता है? It's a part of profitability, you can say. Okay, sorry, one more question. But if we use one more shift of labor, then it will increase cost on labor as well. So I guess there's also issue of increasing cost. All right, if we are producing more, we are having more revenue, right? So the cost of labor is not the problem. The problem is we are not producing more because हमारे machineries कम हो रहे हैं. तो labor cost तो बढ़ेगा, but उसके बाद revenue भी तो बढ़ेगा. तो at the end हमारा profit ही हो रहा है. Are you understanding? Like revenue is more than cost हमारा. But the problem is कि हमारे पास machinery उतनी नहीं है जितनी हमारी competitors के पास है. उतनी advance. उसकी वजह से हम produce कम कर रहे हैं. So if we are having more shifts of labor cost, obviously we'll need to give them more salary, but हमारा products भी ज़्यादा बन रहे हैं, ज़्यादा they are getting sold, and accordingly we are profitable in that zone where we are earning profit. Do you understand, Mohit, whatever? Sorry, I'm not able to pronounce your name. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Just write yes or no on the chat box. Okay, chalo, perfect. Let's move forward to growth strategy now. it's a part of profitability, as I was just telling you all, in which the statement might say that there is a company, they want to increase their market share, they want to grow. They have been there are competitors who are growing, and they are facing a stagnant growth. So that's kind of case you might face in such kind of growth questions. Now, according to me, it is easier to analyze because avenues for growth are so many that you can just come to the number that this might be the thing, or this might be the thing using which we can grow the company. Now, for that, you need to understand the current state of business, as you did in profitability wale cases mein. You will start by asking the business about the business. What is the business about? What is the target customers? What are the geography? Why? And about current performance of the client, and how much they have to grow. If we talk about growth, how much they have to grow. Okay, is it par with the industry standards? Is the industry also supposed to grow according to the same trends? All such kind of questions you'll start asking, because you need to understand the growth of the company, right? Okay, so you'll understand of the, just reiterating what I said once again. Okay, you'll understand about the business, what business is all about, what is their current performance, what performance they want to reach. Because when we're talking about growth, you can write it, if you want to, if they want to reach some growth levels, what exactly their target is. Third thing. Fourth thing, competitive benchmarking. Fifth thing, उनके targets हमने कर लिए, कर लिया. उसके बाद bottlenecks क्या रहेंगे, capabilities क्या रहेंगी, company के bottlenecks और capabilities. Some of the very common clarifying questions you can start off with, as I mentioned also over here: objective, growth, time period. Again, time period is very, very important. You need to understand, when we're talking about growth, what is their target, like in how much period they want to grow, what is the duration, right? So if it is like short term, 6 months they want to reach to a target, then obviously we cannot expand to a new geography. You can see right hand side mein sheet pe some of the strategies that I've listed down. अगर शॉर्ट टर्म पीरियड है तो ऑब्वियसली वो न्यू ज्योग्राफी में नहीं जा सकते हैं. तो अगर लॉन्ग टर्म है तो वो न्यू ज्योग्राफी में जा सकते हैं. तो अकॉर्डिंगली टाइम पीरियड is very important to ask as a clarifying question. ठीक है. Price elasticity in the market, why it is important? Again, one of the questions, good questions. Because when you just go to this growth strategy में ये point है increasing price or reduce cost, हम पूछेंगे हम कंपनी अपना जो प्रोडक्ट है उसका प्राइस इंक्रीज कर सकते हैं. वो तभी कर सकते हैं जब मार्केट में प्राइस इलास्टिसिटी है, राइट? सो आई कवर द ग्रोथ स्ट्रैटेजी का ये पूरा जो हम फ्रेमवर्क है हम वन बाय वन देखेंगे. दीस आर सम ऑफ द क्लैरिफाइंग क्वेश्चंस एंड जस्ट अ ब्रीफ ओवरव्यू ऑफ द केस दैट आई वाज गिविंग. ओके, नाउ व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट ग्रोथ स्ट्रैटेजी, सिंपल है. हमें ग्रो करना है, वी हैव टू एवेन्यूज टू ग्रो, राइट? ईदर वी एक्सप्लोर आवर existing business, or the second could be we could just explore a new business, we could diversify, right? Does that make sense to you? Anybody has any other kind of approach that you follow? You can write in the chat box. I would just like to see. Okay, I think you guys are not very familiar with the growth kind of cases. Is that right? Because growth cases are not very prevalent, but I have been hearing that during this year, again, growth cases are being asked from a lot of people. Is that right? I think I would appreciate a yes or no on the chat box. So let's cover again. Okay, when we talk about growth, there are two avenues that we can grow through, right? Either we explore the existing business. Yes, I will tell that in a bit. Okay, either we explore the existing business or we diversify into a new business. Okay, when we talk about existing business, how we can grow? Okay, either we increase the volume, right? Volume of the existing products, or we increase the price. That's how we are growing in our existing business. Now, volume increase करने के लिए हम अपने customers बढ़ा सकते हैं. The customers का purchase frequency बढ़ा सकते हैं. Product size very clearly mentioned, right? And when we talk about exploring a new business, then there is product line जिसको हम cater कर सकते हैं. नए product line में we can enter into a new geography, a new market segment, merger, diversify, all of that. Okay, just be very well versed with this basic structure so that when you are solving the case, you are understanding like what exactly how it is done, right? Okay, I don't think so that you need a little bit more. You can just take screenshot and go through it again like after the session. I'll come to the practice case. Okay. All right, the case, you all can think about it and then we will move to the case. Okay. The client is a sports apparel and equipment company in India and it is facing a decline in its market share. And the market is dominated by big international players and wants you to frame a revival strategy. So it's a sports apparel company and they want to grow their business. Any idea about how you can approach this case? What are the two segments that you can look into? If anybody can write in the chat box, we just discussed it upper wale mein. So either we can explore the existing business or we can explore a new business. Let's suppose the client is saying that let's explore the existing business. Now what are the different strategies you have when we talk about exploring the different business, existing business? You can see from this slide. I have listed down the I'm really sorry, there was some problem with my internet. Am I audible now, Aditya?
Yeah, you are audible.
Okay. Okay, just give me a second. Okay, is my screen visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay, ठीक है. So let's go to the case, okay? As I cannot see any answer in the chat box, let's go to the case directly. Okay. So do you guys want to read the case? And okay, let's come to this slide, okay, where we have listed the entire structure. When we talk about growth strategy, I have mentioned there are two things, right? Exploring the existing, exploring a new. Let's suppose the person says that let's look into exploring the existing business. Now what you can do, you can either increase the volume of your product that you are selling. The client was what? The client was apparel, sports apparel, company, right? Sports. So either they can increase the volume of their product or they can increase the revenue per customer. Now again, the interviewer might say that let's look into the volume. For that, you can increase your customers or increase the purchase frequency. Now this is the entire discussion that is happening over here, which I'm not covering right now. We'll be covering in in a short duration. So when we talk about volume, it could be either customers बढ़ा देंगे या हम purchase frequency बढ़ा देंगे. And when we talk about the customers, कैसे बढ़ाएंगे? Effective marketing and advertising के through. And there are a lot of very innovative marketing strategies that are present in this case. If you want to read this, you can take a screenshot, read them. I don't think that I should read all of that. That will waste our time. We should just move to the doubt session, okay? Iske baad. So what I'm trying to say is increasing volume is through increasing customers or increasing purchase frequency. When we talk about increasing customers, कैसे कर सकते हैं? By marketing and advertising. For that, there are 3-4 strategies listed down here, which is very nicely written and presented in the case. Do you want me to just wait for a second and read, or take a screenshot or whatever you want to? That's the entire flow of the case. These cases are very simple, I think. I don't want it to lay a lot of emphasis on them. I would like to move to the doubt session now. So do you want, just reply on the chat box, do you want me to go through the case, or do you want to just read on your own? Okay, so take screenshot. Okay, I'll wait for a minute. Take screenshot, and then you can read it after the session, and then we can move to the doubt session, because people are very eager to know about ZS ka case study and other questions that they have. Also, I think we'll be sharing the PPT, so I don't think so there is a problem with that. This slide, you can also take the screenshot. Do you guys have any problem with the growth के cases का कुछ problem है? Do you have doubts? You can ask. Then we'll move forward to the other doubts. I wanted to focus more on the doubts in the session because it revolving around aptitude test or whatever you have, right? Because all of this, I believe that you can, learn through YouTube, etc. But some specific doubts catering to your particular needs will be beneficial for all of you. How do we differentiate which type of case it is, right? Very good question. So, particularly about growth, it will be very clearly mentioned, right? The company wants to increase their market share. They want to grow their business by 20%. Or for profitability, it will be very direct again. It will be saying that the profitability of the company has fallen down by 20%, by 10%, by 5%. By these words only, you can come to the conclusion this is a profitability ka case, this is a growth case. Most common, again, I'm mentioning again and again, are market entry and profitability. Market entry, again, they'll just say that should we enter into a market or not. Okay, Shri Kriti?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, I think that's the end of the slides. We can just go with the, somebody asked me, please tell about ZS case interviews. Okay, everybody wants to know that. Okay, so should I start from the very beginning? About the aptitude test also you want to know, or are you guys done with your aptitude test in your respective colleges? BA honors students prepare for aptitude test of companies. Some tips. Okay, for aptitude test, I would like to know first of all if you guys are preparing. Some of you might be preparing for CAT, and other might not be. So those people who are preparing for CAT, they, you guys already know how to, solve the data interpretation, maths, quant, English, logical, all of those questions. So it's not for you guys. For the people who are not preparing for CAT specifically, I would suggest that for aptitude tests, एक तो you can borrow CAT के books, उसमें बहुत अच्छे से given होता है everything from your friends etc. जिससे भी जो भी कर रहे हैं, you can borrow the books and you can have a good hold over the basics. Some of the basic concepts which are asked in the quant specifically, I'll just say averages, percentages, then we have probability, then we have sets, not sets like not very common but still. Then after that we have ratio, proportion, some geometry questions, again not very popular but again could be asked. So these are the basic questions around averages, ratio, proportion. Average is a very good, like it is asked a lot. The quant ke question basic pehle to you can start from the basic books to develop a good hold over them. There are very good aptitude test ke sites on Google, you can refer them. One of them is placement test preparation, then there is Geeks for Geeks, then there is I am just, give me a second, I'll just see. You guys can follow us on the career guide. We released this post recently regarding कि कौन से aptitude test के sites होते हैं. Why I'm just checking. Okay, just give me a second. A lot of good sites are there on Google from where you can practice. For quant, I'll suggest CAT के books ले लो या तो normal जो maths के आपके 8, 9, 10 के books थे उसमें से basics पे पहले work on करो. अब apart from that, for English verbal, that is very easy. I don't think so. It requires a lot of practice. It's a very, very easy according to me. Bain वगैरह के जो aptitude test होते हैं, they revolve more around data interpretation के questions, logical reasoning के questions. ZS का जो aptitude test होता है, it revolves around all of that. Quant, then we have verbal, then we have logical sections होते हैं, all of them. But Bain वगैरह के, I think Accenture also, I don't know about Accenture, but Bain specifically, it's all about data interpretation के long questions. Again, for that, CAT के books will help you a lot. And apart from that, the websites I mentioned, just give me a second. I'll tell you the websites which you can refer to for the aptitude test ka preparation. Then we'll move to the case study. Okay, so the websites are Geeks for Geeks, Prep Insta. Should I write it on the chat box or do you guys? Yes, Prep Insta, placement preparations. Then there is test book. Then there is Geeks for Geeks, right? All these sites are very nice. I'm just writing on the chat box. Give me a second. Rep Insta, all people already have mentioned. That's again is very good. Also, okay, I'll cover it in a second. Give me a second. Okay. And if anybody wants to add on to this list, they can just write so that other people can also get help and use those sites. Okay. Then there is a question about one person that how can a BA honors student prepare for aptitude test of company? Some tips. Okay. Okay, so I covered it already. Okay. Chehek, are you okay with the answer or you want something specific? You want to know about something specifically? Casebook study links. Do you want the links or do you want the names? So I'll suggest the names. IIMA ka casebook is good. DTU FMS ka casebook is amazing. Then case compendium, people are following it a lot nowadays. Yeah, these 3 to 4 cases will suffice for the beginning. If you are beginning with it, which I hope you are not, starting ke liye, these books are very nice. Case interview cracked, right? That's what I started off with, and I switched to IIM, DTU, FMS, these case books. I am writing. Aditya, can you just keep writing what I'm saying if you can? DTU, FMS. Okay. These case books are nice. Okay. Then we have the question. The question levels and length is. I'll come to the CS ka proper structure because everybody wants to know after catering to these specific doubts. Then we'll come to the ZS ka proper structure. The questions level and length is far more what we can practice from the sites the career guide provide. They are good, but feels in terms of length, which comes to the real aptitude like Bain, ZS, Accenture, etc. Okay, so what do you suggest, Kaushik?
Hi, am I audible?
Okay, the question is that during guesstimates, what if we get stuck? Then what to do, right? Okay. It's better if you are not able to come up with anything. I think it would be better to communicate that to the interviewer and ask that person, sir or ma'am, I'm not very aware about this particular thing. Can I get some time to think about it? Or even if you are not unable to, understand even after taking some time, you can ask that person, so can you help me through this a little bit? But it would be better if you don't ask the interviewer. But again, if you're stuck, then you have to ask. It's better to not defend your mistakes and accept your mistakes than just keep going and going and doing everything wrong. That's what I followed in one of my interviews and it was successful, right? So just admit that I'm not able to move forward, I need a bit help from you. That's what you can do, Rene. Okay, any other question, guys? Then we will come to could you please, okay, I'll share the link. I guess we have the case books. I'll share the link on the group that we have. Apart from that, coming to the ZS, okay, apart from that, coming to the ZS ka proper case structure. Now, what happens specifically in ZS, which is relatively different when we talk about other companies like Bain, Accenture, because ZS mein, first of all, there will be an entire case solving session, okay, in which the case that will be asked, it will not be profitability, market entry, guesstimate, aisa case nahi hoga. What will happen is they'll give you 1 hour, total 1 hour. There will be a full-fledged case of 5 to 6 pages revolving all around data, numbers, graphs, pie charts, all of that. And post which there will be around 5 to 6 questions that you will have to solve based on that case. The case will be like there is a company. Again, there is they want to launch something in the market, something revolving around that. You might be asked to solve something regarding market share. 2 to 3 questions will be quantitative, 2 to 3 questions will be qualitative. Qualitative, I mean, you might be asked that suggest some marketing strategies for that company. So those 2 to 3 qualitative questions you can do easily in that 1 hour ka frame. But the quantitative questions, one or two of them would be difficult to solve because it will be data heavy. A lot of data will be there, numbers will be there, might be difficult, but then be calm and do whatever you can. Even a lot of people that we, when we were given the case study, we did some of the questions wrong, but the entire thing is that when you go to the interview, and the next round is the interview where you discuss that entire case study, okay, with the interviewer. So when you go to that interview, you have to defend that, you have to admit that you have done this mistake. You don't have to defend your wrong answers. You have to say that this is something which I did wrong in that small period of time, but I would like to correct it to this thing. So that is something which I would suggest. So yeah, starting at the very beginning, 1 घंटे का time होगा. There will be a whole full-fledged 5 to 6 pages ka case study. Around 5 to 6 questions you have to solve based on that case study. I would suggest इसका कोई prep करने के लिए एक तरीका यही रहेगा कि data interpretation के questions पे काफी अच्छा hold बना लो, because ऐसा कोई 5 to 6 pages का पूरा full-fledged case कहीं मिलेगा नहीं. Even I didn't get anything to practice from. So what I did was data interpretation. That was something which I worked on regarding pie charts, tables, how to solve the questions using those graphs, etc. Then the second round will be, as I mentioned, the entire round will be solely focused on what you did in that particular case study. The interviewer will take every question one by one. You will be telling that person how you came to that answer. If you did wrong, admit it, correct it, be confident with it, and yeah, and some of the basic HR questions which are there. Also, ZS में puzzles are very, very, very common. They just love puzzles. They will not ask like profitability or market entry के cases. They love to ask about the puzzles. Now, what kind of puzzle? I'll tell you one puzzle, all of you. Okay, I'll tell you one puzzle. Apart from that, you can go on Google and you can type ZS puzzles. You'll get plenty of them. I suggest you all to practice all of them so that it's easier for you to solve in the interview. There's this one puzzle, okay? Let's solve this puzzle right now and let's see who gives me the right answer, okay? I'll explain it at the end. We also get a very good view about what kind of puzzles are being asked. So there is this triangle, okay? One triangle hai, and there is one ant present on each of the sides. So total there are 3 ants. हर एक side पे एक ant है. Now these ants can either move clockwise or either move anti-clockwise. All these 3 ants या तो clockwise जा सकते हैं या anti-clockwise जा सकते हैं. Now you need to find the probability that these 3 ants will never collide. That's the question. Do you want me to repeat the question or do you want to solve it? Take 1 minute ka time, and I would love to see the answers. If anybody of you. Okay, I'll repeat, Zoya. There is a triangle. On every side, one ant is present. Now, these 3 ants can either move clockwise or anti-clockwise. You need to find the probability that these 3 ants will never collide. They will never meet each other. That's the question. I'm getting the answers. I'll not reveal the correct answer. I just want to see first of all if what kind of answers everybody is coming up with. I think I will stop presenting. 6 by 8. Akash, I would really like to know how 6 by 8.
So there can be 2 approaches. So basically, first, for one ant, if we consider that all ants are like moving in a clockwise direction, so each ant will have 2 edges to go. Like if I'm starting from the top edge, so each ant will have a bottom 2 edges. Similarly for the other 2 edges, and in the same way, there will be 2 possibilities for each ant. So the total possibility will be like 2 raised to the power 3. So,
Okay.
and out of this, if we assume that there are no collisions, so we can assume that there can be 6 by 8 possibilities. This is what I think.
Okay, that's correct. But okay, now you need to say कि तीनों मिल नहीं रहे. आपको ये नहीं कहना कि मिल रहे हैं, मिल नहीं रहे हैं. आपका 6 by 8 की जगह होना चाहिए 2 by 8 answer. I'll tell you how. Or the correct answer is 1 by 4, which most of the people are giving. Okay. Now, what you suggest that हर एक ant के पास 2 possibilities होंगे, either to go clockwise or anti-clockwise. That is correct. Total possibilities कितने हो जाएंगे? 2 into 2 into 2, which is 8, right? Right. Then now you need to find the probability that these ants will never meet. वो तब होगा जब all the three arms are either moving clockwise in clockwise direction, or all the three arms are moving in anti-clockwise direction. So there comes 2 possibilities out of 8 possibilities. 2 by 8, which is 1 by 4. Anybody is not clear with it? I can repeat it once again. Just to give an idea about the puzzles, because the puzzles are very common in the ZSCA interview. It's clear. Okay, perfect, Devangi. So now I'll move forward to the last round. This was the second round, like जिसमें हम पूरा case study का discussion रहता है. Now third round, which is the last round, mostly on the HR questions. People think that HR questions are not very important. I'll tell you all guys that they are important. If the interviewer gets the vibe from you that you are really passionate about the job that you are going to do, either if you mess up thoda bahut in your guesstimate, they might take you. Okay, so that's why I'm saying that do well with the HR questions. Then there will be one guesstimate or some kind of puzzle that you will be asked to solve in your final interview. That's all about it. 3 rounds basically, mostly revolving around puzzles, guesstimates, and the one case study. बड़ा सा जो case study होता है, that what I have already told you all about. Yeah, that's all about it. Any specific doubts if you want to? This year we have online case study round followed by only one round of interview. Okay. No, okay, so basically what they say is जो online case study round होता है उसके बाद जो interview होता है mostly उनको एक ही round मानते हैं. That's what I also thought कि 2 rounds होंगे, but जो case study का round हो उसके बाद जो interview होता है I guess they consider it to be one, but there will be 2 interviews as per what I think. Okay, how to answer why is yes, right? So that's one of the questions which I also answered. I would suggest yes, इसके लिए properly एक structured बना लो. पहले तो they might ask you why particularly management consulting. What makes you an eligible candidate for management consulting, and why do you love to enter into this particular field? Then you have answered why management consulting, then you will talk about ZS. ZS के लिए उसके लिए you have to go through the website of the ZS and know how ZS is different from other consulting companies. ZS में I think most of you would know that ZS is a pharmaceutical. It basically deals with pharmaceutical companies specifically. So you can revolve your answer around pharmaceutical, right? Helping the people, helping the patients, and helping the hospitals, etc. That's what we do, right? That's what ZS does. ZS is a company which caters to the medical devices का कुछ market में entry लानी है ऐसे, तो वो medical companies के साथ deal करती है, hospitals या research companies, the people who मतलब the companies which are dealing in pharmaceutical field. So you can revolve your answer around that part of the section, doing good for the society by doing this, not just by helping the companies to grow, but also catering to that particular field of social wala part la sakte. So that's how you revolve an answer around the company, what specifically the company does, not just a very broad answer regarding why management consulting, but why particularly ZS, because ZS main hai pharmaceutical. About, and the culture also is very famous, ZS ka culture, and the learning that you have, the learning path is very linear, like okay, you grow and grow and grow, there's no going back. So that is something which you can include in your answer. Can you also tell about Accenture case study as well? Okay, so Accenture is something which I think my other teammate can tell you better, and she is not present right now, I guess. Let me just check up with her if you can come. Aditya, can you just call her or something? Because people, I think 1 or 2 people above also have asked about the Accenture case study. The online case study round where we solve 5 to 6 questions, is that round eliminative? No, it is not eliminative. उसके बाद आपका interview round होता है where you are discussing that entire case study with your interviewer, as I mentioned above. So उसके बाद आपका elimination होता है. Online case के बाद एक interview होगा. After that elimination, like what you were saying, and then you will be going to the final round. All right, any other doubt that anybody has, or we should be wrap up the session? If I have missed any question that was there in the chat box, you can just let me know about that as well. Okay, I think that's all about it. Any other consulting companies that you would like to recommend for applying, Priyansh? Like Bain, Accenture's, yes. LEK has, I think last year it didn't come to campuses. Now it is coming to campuses. It is a very good company. Then McKinsey, BCG, all those companies, I think you know these companies, right? BCG, McKinsey, I think that they do not come to like most of the campuses, even in Hansraj. So you can apply off campus. Okay, Aditya, no problem. So yeah, these companies are there for specifically consulting. Kindly share the PPT in the WhatsApp. Okay, sure, we will do that. Do you have a HR list? Okay, so you can connect to us. We provide off-campus mentorship session, like how you should, and we do provide these HR lists, etc. If you want to avail our mentorship sessions, you can connect to us later on. Okay, Aditya, I would really appreciate if you can post that message on the chat box only. Then we can share in the WhatsApp group also regarding our LinkedIn and etc. the profiles. You can connect to us, right? What type of question does ZS ask in HR questions? HR questions will be mostly revolving around why management consulting, why specifically ZS, your introduction obviously. Then I would suggest that some of the basic questions you should prepare for, जैसे होते हैं, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, right? ये सारे prepare कर लेना. Then it will be mostly revolving around your CV. CV का आपको I would suggest you should know everything about your CV from A to Z. That's very, very important, because they might ask you any internship that you have done and what exactly you have done in that. So the interview mostly revolves around your CV ke questions. Any highlight in your CV, any good internship you have done, just know what work you have done in that. Level of guesstimates are not very hard, I would say. Like, okay. But it depends upon the interview. We cannot really say that. It really depends upon the mood of the interviewer and who the interviewer is. Okay, I think we can end the session now.
Yeah, sure, Nidhi. Thank you for such a lovely session, and would look forward to more sessions with you guys. And thank you everyone for joining. You can share your LinkedIn IDs and more such updates on the WhatsApp group itself. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Himanshu. Chalo, bye-bye. Have a great day. All the best for your placements.